Mischievous Kitties, adopted birthday. Good morning. Jewel came bounding into the kitchen to join the others for breakfast. How are you guys this beautiful morning? I think it's too early to be so cheery, Peaches grumbled. Maybe you shouldn't stay up so late. Then you can see how beautiful the morning is. I could say the same thing about you staying up late to see the beauty of the night. But in the end, I'm a night owl, and you're an early bird, and that's just how the world works. Peaches purred as she cleaned her face. Jewel shrugged and grabbed a mouthful of food. Well, I do love getting up early. The sun shines bright as it rises, the birds are singing, and sometimes a huge package is delivered, she announced between bites. Wait, what? Pepper asked. A package wasn't delivered, he exclaimed in disbelief. Mer-Ka quietly got up and walked into the dining room. Yes, it was, she stated confidently. Owner would have brought it in, so no. It was delivered right after Owner left for work, but right before you guys managed to drag yourselves out of bed for breakfast. I watched the human bring it to the door myself. Of course, the human did make several trips, so it may be several packages, but either way, so yes. Pepper was about to give another rebuttal when Mocha's voice came from the foyer. She's right. Packages did arrive. Really? Pepper asked, surprised, and sprinted out of the kitchen. Told you. Jill called after him as she sat up straighter and puffed out her chest. Then she looked at the other kitties. I knew what I saw. She then continued to eat. Pepper and Mocha climbed on the windowsill next to the front door. They also started climbing over each other, trying to get a better view of the boxes. I wonder what's in it, Pepper asked excitedly as he pressed his nose against the window. I don't know, Mocha responded, trying to push Pepper out of the way. Pepper only moved when his breath fogged up the window and couldn't see outside. Now I'm bored, he stated and walked away. Mocha just stood and blinked at Pepper's striped tail's hip. How does he always get bored so quickly? The brown kitty took one more look towards the door and then wandered upstairs. The other kitties finished their breakfast and started going about their day. Almost all of them forgot about the strange boxes sitting outside. All except Jewel. She would get up every few hours from wherever she was lounging and check to see if the boxes moved. Upon seeing they were still waiting in their positions on the porch, she would go back to laying down somewhere. After repeating this for a few hours, she decided to find a more comfortable position where she could just monitor the boxes. The window in the dining room that faced the front yard had a deep windowsill, unlike the windows in the sunroom, which only allowed her to put her front paws on it. The dining room windows were deep enough to sit on and observe the world out front. The back windows were nice because they had a wonderful view of the big backyard, several tall trees where birds liked to perch, and an all-around quiet vista of nature. The front windows, by contrast, showed a small lawn lined by concrete, brick, and pavement. Though very few birds visited the front, the passing cars and occasional human walking a dog was entertaining in its own right. There were no bushes up against the windows out front. The bushes that were there were separated from the windows by a porch. Jewel found a comfortable place on the larger windowsill and watched the world out front. She was about to get lost in thought about the mysterious boxes when a little bird flitted around the porch. Jewel watched it absently, but she wasn't able to identify its species until it landed on the white railing that enclosed the porch. It was a sparrow! Suddenly alert, Jewel straightened up and pressed her right paw on the glass next to her face. Right on cue, the little sparrow fluttered just above the railing 3 times to answer her signal. It was Fletcher. Jewel's tail flicked happily as her friend glided down to the floor of the porch and hopped towards the window. Jewel tried to push the window open. Her paws searched for a way to move the glass while leaving paw prints in spots. Fletcher perched on the windowsill on the other side of the glass, its head moving around in jerky motions that Jewel had just accepted was normal bird behavior. After a few more failed attempts, Jewel gave up trying to open the window. She sat down, pointed to the boxes with her paw, and then put the paw close to her eye and pointed back to the boxes. Fletcher tilted his little head to one side, trying to figure out what she was trying to say. He looked around the porch, and he noticed the brown boxes sitting by the front door. He flew over, landed on the boxes, and then lightly pecked at them. Jewel excitedly stood up on her hind legs, pressing her front paws and nose against the window as she watched her friend investigate the boxes. He turned and could see her tail excitedly flicking from one side to the other. He flew back to the windowsill, happily cheeped and fluttered at her, and then he perched ready to stand guard with her over the boxes. After a few moments, Jewel lay down to keep watching the boxes, but soon she was dozing off and didn't even notice when Owner pulled up into the driveway. Owner started to pick up the boxes and carry them one by one into the garage. Fletcher flapped and chirped wildly. Jewel didn't even stir. Fletcher tried picking on the window, but his beak just bounced off the screen. He flapped and tried to hover just above where the screen ended. He tried pecking and scratching at the window, making high-pitched squeaking noises. Jewel's ear twitched, and he pecked and scratched more at the window. He tweeted a little as Jewel slowly raised her head to glare at him. She popped up when she suddenly realized that 2 of the boxes were gone. The hair on her back became raised and her tail fluffed up and flicked wildly. She looked up and down the long strip of pavement. Whoever took the packages couldn't have gotten far. Fletcher's chirping brought her attention back to the last package that was being picked up by Owner. Jewel let out a sigh of relief as she watched Owner take it into the garage. The hair on her back flattened down, and Fletcher, reading her signals, landed calmly on the windowsill. If he tweeted something at her, she couldn't understand with the glass muffling every sound. She put her paw against the window to say thank you, and Fletcher flew in close and pecked at the screen. When she heard the sound of Owner walking through the door, she quickly jumped off and ran towards the small hallway that led to the garage. When she arrived, she could see the boxes sitting in there, but Owner quickly closed the door so she couldn't even enter the hallway. Startled by the door closing, she turned her big blue eyes upwards to Owner, but was met with open air. She turned and looked around her, and quickly realized that Owner had gone to the kitchen. She pawed at the lower corner of the door, and then stretched towards the doorknob. She had seen Pepper open the bedroom door a few weeks ago, and figured she'd give it a try. She crouched down and jumped. With a loud thud, her face bounced off the door just a few inches below the knob. She licked her paw and rubbed the sore spot on her head. That really hurt. After a few moments, she crouched down again and gave it another try. She was right about to launch when she heard a yell from the kitchen. She turned her head to see Owner scolding her. Distracted, she mistimed and misdirected the jump. By the time she turned her head back, she landed chest first against the door, her eyes glaring at the underside of the doorknob as it sat mockingly above her head. She sat back, trying to compose herself, and then she looked to see Owner and the other 5 kitties laughing at her. Her whiskers drooped in embarrassment. She quickly walked into the sunroom. As she gave herself a bath, paying close attention to the sore spots on her head, neck, and chest, she heard the snickers quickly die down. She was grateful for a quick end to her humiliation, even though she was sure she would hear about it later. "What were you trying to do?" a kind voice asked. Jewel smiled as she looked up into a pair of sapphire blue eyes. "You remember the boxes this morning?" Cream nodded, so Jewel continued. "Owner just collected them, but instead of opening the front door and bringing them in, Owner took them around through the garage and into the strange-smelling hallway." "Huh," was Cream's only reply. "I was trying to see if I could investigate the boxes to see why. I thought I could open the door like Pepper did, but I didn't have his level of success." "Or finesse," added a voice from the doorway. Jewel looked up to see Pepper. Gray Tabby started to strut as he walked up to the 2 girls. "Yeah, takes a special kind of agility to open a door. Skill and practice lead to success," he taunted as he stretched his back legs. "Or in your case, dumb luck," Cream interjected. "Hey," Pepper gasped. "I I think it's pretty amazing that I have such perseverance. Or maybe not enough brains to stop while you're ahead. I know that owner didn't notice the bedroom door had been open that day, but I think we all remember the aftermath of the first discovery of your talent. Pepper's ears dropped a little and Jules shivered. The bottoms of Pepper's paws were tomato-stained for weeks after that, and even owner giving him 3 baths did nothing but make Pepper regret ever having opened the pantry door. The memory was interrupted by the sound of owner going back into the hallway and making strange noises behind the shut door. Back to the issue at Pa, Joel commented. What do you think is in the boxes? I don't know, but we'll just have to wait until owner is ready to bring them out, Cream replied. Unless you would like to try to open the door again, Pepper snickered. No thanks, Joel replied. I'll leave the stupid stunts in your capable paws. Pepper stopped snickering for a moment and looked as if he wanted to reply. The kitties weren't left to wonder very long. Owner burst through the door, dashing any hope of Pepper coming up with a witty reply. The door was again shut tight, and owner rushed off into the kitchen with great urgency. This piqued the curiosity of all the kitties, and they decided to investigate. As they entered the kitchen, a wonderful smell greeted them, and they all lifted their noses in the air. Ooh, what is that? Mr. Fluffles asked. I don't know what owner is making, but I hope it's for sharing, Mo-Ka commented. Peaches took several deep breaths, and then her tail started to twitch excitedly. I think it's for us, she announced. Really? Mr. Fluffles asked, hopeful, as he looked at her with big eyes. Yes, it smells a little different than what my other family used to feed me, but it is a special kind of food that comes in a can and is kept in the fridge. Okay, but it is for us? The Tuxedo Kitty asked. Yes, kitten, she replied. A weird noise came from the counter, and all kitties tilted their heads to one side. Mr. Fluffles moved excitedly in anticipation, and the owner turned around to look at them. Owner talked to them in an excited voice, and all the kitties started to crowd around, mewing excitedly. Finally, owner put down 6 little bowls, each containing a slice of canned food topped with whipped cream. The kitties all crowded around the first pair of bowls to hit the floor. It took owner a few messy moments to get everyone to eat out of their own bowl. Peaches ate slower than the others. She found that she didn't really like the taste of wet food. She used to like it with her previous home, but now it just didn't taste right. Maybe it was just a different flavor. She tried again, and she was painfully reminded of when she had to hunt for food, so she stopped eating. Wet food just wasn't her thing anymore. But Mr. Fluffles was more than happy to clean up her share. When the bowls were finally clean, the kitties set to task to clean their very messy faces. The task took so long and so much attention that they didn't even notice owner had walked out and brought something in from the hallway. They were just finishing up when owner walked back in to check on their progress. Once bowls and faces were cleaned to a pristine shine, the kitties followed owner out into the living room. They were greeted with another wonderful surprise. A huge scratch post. No, not just a scratch post. It was a scratch tree. It was the tallest one they had ever seen. It was almost as tall as owner. It had several posts that were covered in sisal. Only 2 of them connected the base to the very top step. The other post helped support the other steps. There were several carpeted steps at various levels, a tunnel, a fuzzy hammock, and a box with just one small hole that was the only way in and out, making it perfect for a hiding hole. There were also several toys in various spots, either hanging down from a string or sitting up on a spring. The kitties carefully approached the very large, very strange scratch post. All except Pepper, who quickly bounded up to the lowest step, sniffed it for a moment, and then scratched enthusiastically on the nearest sisal post. One by one, the other kitties joined Pepper by investigating and interacting with the other various parts of the scratch post. Peaches, however, did not jump on the post. She was too busy noticing something hanging on the wall behind the scratch post. There was a banner that spelled out in big, colorful, bold letters, "Happy Birthday." But something about it seemed off to Peaches. It looked like owner had hung a piece of paper above the words. The paper had a word written on it in colorful marker in owner's handwriting. The word was adopted. Mo-Ka tore himself away from the post to see what Peaches was staring at, and he saw the banner. "What does it mean?" he asked her. As she thought about it more, a smile formed on her lips. "Owner is celebrating the day we were adopted." "So, this is going to happen 2 more times?" Mo-Ka asked. "Probably not," she replied. "It might just be easier for our owner to celebrate all of us being adopted just 1 day out of the year." "So we really have been together a whole year?" "No, not quite, but I guess it was close enough to when you and Cream were adopted to make it count for all of us." "Wow!" Mo-Ka exclaimed and rushed forward to excitedly tell the other kitties. Peaches casually approached the new post, did a lap around it, and then climbed onto 3 different perches until she found one that sat at just the right height. She laid down and watched the others, her tail slowly swishing side to side as it hung down off the perch. They all played and explored while being encouraged by owner's happy voice. Peaches smiled to herself. She had never reached this point with her first family. She had just barely reached a year old when she and Mr. Fluffles were rescued from the streets. These last few months had not been easy. She had been too hesitant to bond with her new family for fear of losing them too. Yet, bonds had been formed. And she wouldn't give them up for anything. They were precious to her. She looked out on her family again and purred happily. She looked forward to many more adopted birthdays with these silly kitties.